think it's about to start, so kindly please sit down. Please find a place where you feel comfortable and just feel free to sit. Alright? Is everything okay? Yeah, before we get started, remember, put your phone to either silent mode or switch off your phone. Okay? Very good. Thank you very much for your collaboration. So now, it's our time again. Our time for what? Over the 3 weeks time, I believe that every one of us will be like, hey, when is our next Bagan Ajam ToastMasters meeting?
26th of June.
Oh, that's 2 weeks later. But 3 weeks ago, because it's a long break, we have like the first week and the last week, the fifth week in the last month. That's why we are not meeting each other. So we've been missing each other for a very long time, right, Go? Yeah. So again, this is the moment for us to learn again. And I would like to take this opportunity to special thanks our speaker of the day, Mervyn Sinaga. A round of applause please. Why a special thanks to our friend? He's a very good man. You know why? This morning, I have some news from Ajam, our original speaker. He texted me saying that, Will, my wife has admitted into hospital. So I couldn't make it today. And I was so nervous, I thought that I'm the one going to speak today. But luckily, Mervyn Sinaga saved my life. So today he's going to share with us how our body language and vocal varieties add spices in our speech. And through his experience as a teacher in drama, I believe he can teach us using some different methods that we never experienced before. So without further ado, let's put our hands together to welcome Mervyn Sinaga.
So you've never had a lecture before. Good evening.
Good evening.
I am the substitute teacher today. I'm very happy to be the substitute teacher because as one who enjoys teaching, sitting in a class like where you are now is not the best part of the evening for me. For me, the best part is to be up here. Now, let me give you a little bit of context as to where I'm coming from, and then we'll get straight into our stuff for tonight. I have had 20 years of paid public speaking experience. In total, about 6,000 hours. To put that into perspective, when you finish your CC Manual 10 projects, you would have clocked about an hour on the stage. Not paid, but you have an hour on the stage. So where I'm coming from tonight is from the other 5,999 hours. And hopefully I'll share one or two things that actually you can use. How many of you would like to be able to speak and be effective when you speak? How many of you would like to be powerful when you speak? How many of you like to, if you either speak or give a presentation, be not just understood, but perhaps even move people to do things after you speak? So tonight, we're going to look at the very things that can do what I've just asked you. Not every Toastmaster considers projects 5 and 6, the body, as well as the gestures and eye contact, as well as the voice. Not every Toastmaster considers these things to be terribly important. Because if you look at your CC manual, you'll see that you've done some very important things already to get to this point. Organize your speech, for example, is very important. Get to the point is very important. Using words, very important. And then now we have the body, and then tonight we'll also do the voice. And then you could get on to other things like, researching a presentation, which is really important because you could take that research project, that skill, and in the very next day use it at work. So very applicable. And then it gets on to some even more difficult and important things like being persuasive and inspirational. So this, using the body, using the voice, it kind of takes second stage to, as far as many Toastmasters are concerned. I'm going to tell you what I think about these two projects. These two projects, for me, brings us to a line in our Toastmaster journey. The line is drawn right across your path. There are paths just before that line that branch off elsewhere, but there is one path that heads straight on, and that line is drawn on that path. It's almost as if the line is asking you something. Asking you whether or not you dare, whether or not you have the courage, the substance to cross it. Tonight, we are faced with such a line. Because this line is going to ask you whether you want to be just a speaker, just someone who has the confidence to speak in front of others, which is nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely a fantastic ambition, okay? You may not want to be a paid speaker and whatever, but just to have the confidence to speak in front of others. There are many roads that you can take at this point. You don't have to go straight ahead. Going straight ahead and means crossing that line, and that line represents this. That line represents whether or not you want excellence in your public speaking skill. Whether you want to take it to a level that's better than the 90% of the population. And this line is drawn tonight because of projects 5 and 6. You might have your speech organized well, and you should. You might have the words chosen well, and you should. But the only way your speech is going to hit anybody, the only way it's going to have impact, the only way it possibly could inspire or cause people to act or to change their behavior or even attitude, the only way is if you get these two projects right. Delivery is what I call these two projects together. This is where we go beyond the words. Words are very important, but as you saw in the data, words weren't the largest percentage of the communication. The largest percentage went to which part? The body? Yeah, the body. The largest percentage of communication goes to the body language. The words, a smaller percentage, quite a bit smaller. I think the words is like 30-something%. Sometimes less, depending on the audience. The body will take 70, sometimes more %. That's a lot of communication to put into the background. So I'm going to suggest tonight that it is not in the background that these two projects need to sit. Because of the huge potential and the huge understanding that people place on these things, people sit there in your audience. They will sit there and they will read your body. And they will hear your voice. And they may not understand the words, but if your delivery with the body and the voice is not right, they will understand other things. You might be saying something, but your body might be saying something else. You guys follow me?
Yes.
The delivery is what puts the ordinary public speaker aside, and it is what lets the extraordinary one step forward. It is the delivery. You could say, I love you in 1,000 different ways. Not all of them will work. Do you understand what I mean? Those of you who've been there, you know what I mean, right? Not all of them will work. Your delivery is very important. Of course, I'm not going to talk so much about the person that you need to be in order to deliver that way. I'll talk about the delivery. But yes, in order to deliver the I love you that works, you have to have the love inside you. You can't just use the words. The words mean nothing if the love isn't inside you. And believe me, if it's inside you, your body will show it somehow. People will get a sense of it. It may not be printed up in lights, but people will get a sense of it. I've said I hate you to people, and they take that to mean that I love them. Which is fine, you know, with your friends. You say, oh, I hate you, you know. And your friend knows that because you're so close, that is actually an endearing thing to say. Do you know what I mean? It is the inside, and this is what the delivery is connected to. The body and the voice are connected strong to the inside, not the words. There may be no connection with the words, unfortunately. It's the body and the voice that are connected to the inside. And if there is a disconnect there, people will know. Okay? If it's fake passion, they will know. If it's real, they will know as well. Question?
Then what happened to the drama inside the direction?
Okay, well, we might talk about the drama in a moment. Thank you for the question. So I'm going to start with the body. And the body is, I suppose, the drama thing comes to me. I'm a drama teacher. So I teach people how to... You know, it's funny, I don't actually teach people how to act. I don't at all. I require them to produce a performance, but I don't teach them how to act. Do you see the difference? If I taught them how to act, they could act their way through all kinds of stuff, whether it's real or not. But I ask them, what do you understand by this piece of literature? What do you understand by this poem? And if they start to talk, I say, no, don't tell me. I'll give you 6 minutes, and then you show me. Show me through your body. It's an exercise in connecting with what you understand, with what you're able to, how you're able to control the body. And if we have time, I might give you an example of how that works. But it's funny, you know. Project 5, your body speaks. And the question that comes to my mind right away is this. Your body speaks, but do you know what it's saying? How many of you are not very confident that you really understand what your body is saying when you're up on stage? You're not really sure if you're communicating it right with your body. How many of you are in that position? I have my hand up because I too have felt that many, many times. The body speaks, huh? It does. So let's look at what it might be saying, and I think more importantly, how we can say things wrongly. Because I think in doing the how-tos as well as the how-not-tos, we can understand something about our own experience in doing this. So do we know what it means when we talk about stance? You know, stance is essentially how you stand and the posture that you hold. All right? So if I stood like this, which is the recommended starting position, and I held this position perfectly for the entire presentation, what would that say? Would that say that I'm confident? Or would it say that maybe I'm not so confident? What do you think it says? It's the perfect position. It should say confidence, but does it say confidence if I stand like this for 2 hours? It doesn't. It could be that I'm frozen in fear. It could be. I mean, we can't say for sure, but it could be. Have you ever been frozen in fear? Have you ever stood up here, frozen in fear, and you've lost the words, and you're left with just people reading your body? I have. In speech contests, I have. In fact, I made sure I learned quickly, so in one speech I did it 3 times. Just stood there frozen. Really couldn't remember the words. Didn't know where to hide my face. And it happens. And people will read that. So you start to move. And of course you get speakers that do this. They speak at you, or speak to you, and they do this, what I'm doing right now. They just do this. Is this purposeful movement or not?
Maybe not.
What is it? What does your gut tell you? That this person is moving with purpose or just moving? Just moving, right? In other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most control, 1 being no control, this person is a what? Yeah, virtually no control over their movements. Then you get so that's stance, okay? You get this as well. You get this.
Something.
See, so there's already a reading, and it's not a good one, right? It's not a good one. Then you get this. This is pleading for, you know. Then you get this.
Teacher.
Yeah, and not a very kind teacher, someone who's, you know. So this is people being unconscious of what they're doing with their body. And the control level is, 1, 2, 3 maybe. You might be one of them. I certainly was. It took me a long time to sort it out because I didn't have ToastMasters. I'm only a ToastMaster for 2 years, but I didn't have ToastMasters in those days. I had these rolls of videotape which I had to use so I could get honest feedback about how I performed. So you want to be able to do that to see, or at least have a friend that is honest enough to tell you that, hey, here's a problem, because you don't want to be in a position where people can read your unconscious, uncontrolled body. It will spoil the message. Really, it will. Those experienced speakers will know, right? It will spoil things. So that's stance. Then we have that's movement as well. Then we've got gestures. So I've got this gesture which I use. And in one evaluation, the evaluator wasn't sure whether I did it on purpose or whether it was an uncontrolled movement. So he sort of said, you do this thing where you touch your nose, and it's quite sexy, but maybe you want to look at that. So he made me feel good about it, but at the same time he pointed it out. So it's quite nice. Touch your nose. This is if someone asks a question, I will be doing this one, which is fine. This is more of a, rather than doing like that. So if someone asks a question, you've got to do something. You could stand back, and you could do that, but that's not really a listening position. So if I'm in control, I might do this, and then he feels like I'm listening, and I am. That's a bit of control. See, doing it now. It looks like I'm thinking, right? Not just demonstrating. It looks like I'm thinking what to say next. Gestures. What's amazing about gestures is that when I do a drama class, gestures always comes up. Always, 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 always. And the default with the class is that their default understanding is that they've got to do gestures. Now, as a public speaker, would you say we have to do gestures? Is it a requirement as a public speaker when we communicate that we wave our hands somehow? I think if not waving your hands means your hands are locked somewhere, here, 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 I don't know. Then that's not good. You do need to let your hands move. Would you say natural is okay? But natural doesn't mean out of control natural. Natural means in control natural. That means regardless of whether it's natural or not, it looks natural. You understand what I mean? It must look natural. Regardless of whether it's natural or not. Because natural, you see, she's doing the thing. She looks like she's listening to me. It works. So it must appear natural somehow. I have sat through speeches where I've had to give feedback, and the feedback went something like this. Your speech was far too contrived. It looked like you choreographed every bit. You understand why the word choreograph, why I use that? When you dance, you plan the dance, the steps and all that, that's your choreography. And the speaker looked like she had choreographed and planned every gesture and every movement choreographed. Yes, move with purpose. But when it's choreographed, That's kind of the opposite of natural, isn't it? It really is the opposite of natural. And it showed. And it was a layer of almost like a barrier that stood between her and her speech. And I had to point it out because as an evaluator, you have to say these things. I've had to tell people that their presentation came over as plastic. These are the exact words I used in a speech competition, evaluation competition. I had to tell the test speaker that their speech was plastic because that's what it felt like. Halfway through the story, you know, and then my friend came down the stairs. I mean, you know, I'm a drama teacher. And I'm cringing when I see these things. Gestures. For me, gestures must be natural. I think if you want to make a point somewhere in your speech where you need a large gesture, that's fine. That's fine. Now, the question of drama and gestures I think is quite related. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you have either used or seen drama used in a speech? Where the speaker was dramatic with their body. Either used yourself or you've seen it happen. Just put up your hand if you've experienced that either personally or you've seen it happen. Okay. How many of you would like to learn how to dramatize your speech with your body? How many of you would like to learn how to eliminate the drama from your speaking style? I have my hand up for the second one. And this is exactly what I did. Some years ago, I think more than 10 years ago, I decided I'm going to have to eliminate the drama from my speaking style. Because I used to jump and prance around and entertain with my body, and as well as the things that I said. But I would always dramatize everything in the story. And, you know, I work with 12-year-olds, so maybe that's okay, you know, maybe. But I decided consciously that, you know, actually it was because one day I dropped down to the floor and then, you know, I had to spring back up. I couldn't spring back up because I was old already. And so I realized, you know, this drama thing kind of has an age limit to it, you know. And I thought, but how am I going to entertain the 12-year-olds? You know, because I have 100 of them in the room at the same time. How am I going to do that? And I decided I'm going to have to drop the drama. Slowly, maybe. Drop the drama. I dropped the drama. And then I decided I'm going to have to drop other things as well. Jokes. I'm going to have to drop the jokes. I have 3 hours with them, right? 12-year-olds. 5-minute break, that's it. 3 hours. And I decided to drop the jokes. Drop the dramatizations. Drop the whole idea that I needed to entertain them. You know what happened? My business started to pick up even more. The evaluations that came back, the feedback that came back was deeper than before. Because I had shifted it from entertainment to what I think would be called meaning. So people left having understood things. In that, there is satisfaction. So, yes, they still laughed and things, but you know, I dropped all of the jokes, all of the drama, and I never looked back. So from this side of having been there before and having seen what can happen in my business after dropping those things and taking control of my lesson, I can tell you now, find a way to start to eliminate those things from your speaking style. Because you're speaking to real people. And while real people love a good laugh, ultimately, they want to feel that you understand where they're sitting, that you understand their issues, that you have given them meaning to whatever problem they were facing. This is what people want when they leave the room. Not just, oh, that was good, but you know, your friend, well, how was it? We laugh a lot. What did you learn? I don't remember. It used to happen a lot to me, right?
Yes.
You know, well, the guy funny, laugh. What did you learn? Don't know. But now they know. And I'm more satisfied because of it. So in a much smaller way, when you deliver your 7-minute speech, it's the message. And the power in the message, because this is the question I asked my group when we had the words thing the last time, right? We had the words thing. And the question was, if the words are, 30% or whatever, if the words are not that important, then where does the power come from? Where does it come from? It comes from somewhere. And if it doesn't come from the words, I think there is power in the words, yes. But that's not where the power comes from. Because you could say something very simple and you can move the room with it. It's in the delivery, which is what we're on about now. So we've got facial expression, icon. Frankly, all of this, you guys know this is actually rubbish, okay? Really. This stuff you don't need to know. This is what I will say about the body. When you use the body, try to use it with purpose. That means when you take a step, somehow let it be a conscious step. Natural is good, better than choreographed. And as far as dramatizing, for me, I was better off without it. It doesn't mean people can't feel suspense or it doesn't mean they can't feel a sense of drama or any of these things. It doesn't mean that. It means you don't bounce around on stage. The reason storytellers dramatize their stories is because they're speaking to children. When you speak to adults, it's a different game. Children have minds which are half empty or more. Less than half empty. I look at some of them and this one completely empty. You know what I mean? They're undeveloped. Adults, we have to assume, have essentially full development of their minds. Not full understanding of issues, but certainly full development of the minds. There is less need to stimulate their minds with, dancing around and jumping up and down and he was 1 meter high when he was 10 years old. And then when he was 11, he was 1.1 meter high. And then, you sort of, and then I decided to, in my heart, I walked to the market. Act out every word to see the market seller. Very sharp one. So you see this happen, right? Where they use the gestures and act out everything in the speech. Why? You're speaking to an adult audience, speaking to a children's audience, maybe. But to an adult audience, assume that they understand what walk means. Assume they understand what 1 meter means. Just assume. Doesn't mean you can't emphasize things. Yes, you can. Of course you can. But just keep in mind that people do understand words. And when you double it by acting it out, it might be a little bit insulting to their intelligence. Okay? It might be. Okay. Facilitators. Can I see a show of hands? How many have we got? We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, very nice. We got 7, and we got quite a few who are qualified to be as well. All right. So facilitators, would you mind just to stand up and come to the front, and then I'm going to divide up the rest of the group. Okay. So I just want to separate you physically right now. Okay. So how many have we got? We got 1, 2, 3. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8. Haha, very nice. Okay, so we can do numbers, please. 1,
2,
3,
4.
5,
6, 7, 8.
Okay, these are your numbers. Now let's do let's do here. 1,
2, 3, 4,
5,
7,
8.
and 1 again.
3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1,
3,
4,
5,
6.
And then 2 hantus lah. Okay. would you, knowing your number now, would you go to your facilitator? Okay, so the numberings are here.
3. Okay. 3.
And facilitators, take your little group.
You want to separate out? One
Yeah.
here, 2 here, there.
Yeah, you can grab your chairs, and I will give you final instructions once you're seated, okay?
Okay, group number 3. 3. Group number 3 over here. Grab the chair, come around.
Maybe 3 others in their group. That's a good number. Keep it small. Okay, so get comfortable with each other, nice and close if you can.
Alright. So
that's what a child's head sounds like. Okay, are you ready for the first instruction? First instruction is that you will be now given, how much time am I? I'm going to give you 15 minutes to prepare a speech, and the speech will focus on, it can be about anything you want, right? But it will focus on using your body to communicate. That doesn't be the subject, but that's going to be what you're going to be focusing on. So it's about the body speaking. My suggestion is that you talk about something you love, because then that's a bit more connected directly to your body. Okay? Talk about something that you love. It could be Pokemon and Pikachu. It could be your children. It could be your hobby. It could something that you love is what you want to talk about. You know, if you love ice cream, if you love laksa, whatever, you can talk about it. Okay? The length of the speech is 4 minutes. Okay? 4 minutes. Facilitators, please give them. You know, you can do the timing and whatever. 3.5, 4, 4.5. Okay, that's how the timing. Sorry. 3, 3.5, 4. All right, if you're going to use the amber, so the green, amber, and red. 3 for green, 3.5 amber, and 4 minutes is red. All right, and after you get the red, it's okay to stop even if you've not finished your speech. It's fine. Okay, question.
Is there any blank papers?
Yes. I have paper. If you need paper, you can come and get paper from me. Send someone from your group if you need. Yeah, go ahead and grab one from here. Now, also take back to your group one of these, please. Every group send somebody. I have one piece of paper to give back to you. This is one for each group. Your group has one? Every group have one of these A4 pages? Every group have one A4 page? Okay? So what happens is, I think what we'll do is 10 minutes to prepare the speech, and then once the speech is prepared, you can start delivering the speech. So each speaker will deliver their speech in turn, and that will take about 15 minutes, I think, because of 4 minutes times 3 is roughly 15. When that's done, facilitator, this A4 page is the one that I want you to work with. Alright? Now, this is for you to record what the speaker said. So you will ask the speaker, first of all, what did you do well? So all the speakers will tell you, I did this, I did this. Okay, fine. So you write down one thing that they did well, and there should be enough space. I think there are like 5 or 6 lines. There should be enough space, 1 line for each speaker. That's enough, okay? And proceed to then the next question, what can you do better? And finally, what did you learn? Please ask them until they give you an answer. It's okay to repeat the question. You do not need to fill in the question for them. Facilitators, because how would you know what they learned? Okay? Just ask them, what did you learn? What did you learn? Okay, until they give you an answer, and then you write that down. And so you'll have a little record of the answers to these questions when you're done with this. Okay? All right. Any questions?
Who is the one who gives the speech?
Okay, so are you facilitating your group?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other three will give speeches.
So I understand.
Yes. And I will answer the next question, which is, does a facilitator need to evaluate a speaker? No, you don't. You don't need to evaluate the speaker. This is going to be self-reflection. That's what this page is for. You will need to ask the speaker to answer these three questions. That's all. When all the speakers are done, then you do this page, okay? So speech 1, then speech 2, speech 3. And then when that's done, then you ask them this and record down what they say. Alright? Any questions? No more questions? Okay, 10 minutes, begin.